Hi everyone. This new episode about very sad crime happened to a little girl. Show you not to trust anybody. Subscribe, click like, and activate the bell for more. Delaware couple on their new boat. It's common to see objects in the water, maybe trash or dead fish, but suddenly this isn't a pile of waste, it's a human body. They're kilometers deep in the Atlantic Ocean. How did this body get here? How did it happen? Sometimes things don't work as you expect. I'm Stephen Brown, a New Jersey State Police lieutenant. I spent more than a year as a patrol officer. At the time of this crime, I had hired a detective before, just a month. In the world of homicides, you quickly discover that the human body is very fragile. It breaks easily and decomposes at high speed. After death, we know that this is a human corpse. We know that it is a woman, but it is impossible to distinguish her face. It is a body that was in the water exposed to marine life pollutants. Fish attack tissues first. The soft one is the face and the eyes. It's easy for a small fish to feed on this. We saw crabs from the inside of her thighs. And this is an animal from the bottom of the sea. That is, she was at the bottom for a while. Her foot was tied to a thick metal chain. As soon as we saw her, we learned that this crime has other dimensions, not just an accident. Someone thought that this chain would sink to the bottom of the ocean and no one would see it. Do you see any wounds? It's impossible to pinpoint that. Look at this body and think, we don't have a crime scene, that we don't have evidence, and you say to yourself, how are we going to solve this crime? This body is in the Atlantic Ocean, and this puts us in front of a difficult mystery that is not limited to the cause of the death of the victim, but how it reached a depth of kilometers in front of the Gulf of Maine, New Jersey. When bodies were found thrown away, we don't know the place of the murder, so we build and try to go back to the beginning. The body becomes the crime scene, and the search starts from it. We have now arrived at the autopsy. After the X-ray was done, Dr. Blanchet noticed several fractures at the bottom of the skull. The doctor guessed after the examination that she either received a blow with a very wide object or that the fractures happened as a result of the shock of falling from a certain height. What is the height? Approximately 5 floors at least. This is not logical. If you were in a small boat and took the body to throw it in the water, the body will not suffer fractures in the bottom of the skull from this fall. What is the cause of death? It is impossible to determine it. We did not know if the body was thrown into the water while it was alive, or if it died before throwing it away. Identifying the victim will be the basis. Fingerprints are the most logical way to start. When a body is thrown into the water, the skin wrinkles, so the fingerprints disappear under the wrinkles. I injected water into the outer layer of skin, and when I did that, the skin becomes like a balloon and it swells again. And then I can see the bumps without the wrinkles caused by the water. When I did this and her body was full of water, I had to wipe and clean everything while I was doing this. The operation was not only the water that was injected, but water trapped in her body from the ocean. I was drying her finger quickly and tying as fast as possible to trap the water. Then he took her finger and looked at the fingerprint. It was great that I succeeded in obtaining clear fingerprints from this. I got clear fingerprints from 6 fingers out of 10. This was a big advance for me. I wished to find fingerprints in the system. We get a positive result, and then we can know the identity of the owner of this. The fingerprints may not have been arrested previously or have not put their fingerprints on any document. After we got the fingerprints, we sent to the fingerprint identification system and got a match with a 16-year-old girl named Kimberly Hilton. She was an adopted girl living in Dover, Delaware. We discovered that Kimberly's adoptive mother reported her missing and explained in the report in detail about the last time Kimberly saw her on September 9th. That means we have a starting point. We had to meet with the Delaware Police Crime Unit, and we started exchanging information. The New Jersey State Police are working with the Delaware State Police on this investigation. Dover is the capital of Delaware. We consider a small city. What do we have here when our city is mentioned in the news is that the reason is enormous, as it was in this case. 16-year-old girls are not killed here. I was determined to find the criminal because of her age. Thinking of a little girl thrown into the ocean was compelling. What happened until she ended up kilometers from the beach wrapped in a chain around her? Investigations into murders begin in the same way. Always a mystery, and presumably a complex mystery, and its solution is almost impossible. How are we going to know the killer from a body dumped in the ocean 6 kilometers deep for several days? How are we going to solve this case, and what can we do? We do this carefully and rely on experience and training. And so we went from the body of a girl floating in the ocean to Kimberly Holden floating in the ocean with adoptive parents and reported missing. Why did her parents lose her in adoption? Did she run away from her home again? This is this young woman's current address in Dover, Delaware. Her adoptive parents are Ronald and Laura Michaels. Step 1. Now she's communicating with the adoptive mother and telling her that the child she reported missing has been found. All the cops are afraid to pass this news on to someone. I did this a lot. They already know. As soon as you come to see them, you can see that in the person's face. Mrs. Michaels. Yes, we found Kimberly's body. She's dead. She received the news with great difficulty. Kimberly ran away from home previously, but she was coming back 2 or 3 days later. This time we didn't come back. We wanted to get details of Kimberly's life and personality as well. Her adoptive mother told us that Kimberly is from New Jersey. Her life was difficult, full of conflicts, and full of sorrows. Her father was a criminal, serving his sentence in prison when all this happened. Her real mother suffers from several problems, such as relationships and drug abuse. Kimberly was traveling to Delaware to visit her grandfather in the Macarat area of Dover. Her grandfather tried to put some responsibility on her by giving her tasks and housework. This did not appeal to you, Burley, and Kimberly did not want to stay with Grandpa. Do you want a sandwich? Come in and join us. Well, thank you both. Laura Michael had another baby girl named Heather. And because Heather and Campbell got along a lot, Laura decided to become the legal guardian of Kimberly Holden. I had a strong relationship with Laura quickly. We were friends. It was easy to be a big brother. And we did what any two sisters do and give us the same clothes. She was always happy and loved to socialize with others. I think Kimberly was looking for stability. I understand she was very happy. Being there after the news of death was reported, she immediately asks who did this. In your opinion, we wanted to get some details from her adoptive mother. Tell me about the night and when you spoke to Kimber. The last time I went to check on Kim in the evening, it was 9 in the evening, or 10 in the evening, and I was sleeping. It was the last time I saw her. What prompted Kimberly to get up from her bed and disappear? Their question to Laura Michaels was, do you know anything? Worry or scare her? Do you know anything? Laura Michaels then bombed in the middle of the conversation. I know Kim was angry because of my ex-husband, or because we haven't finished our divorce yet. Laura Michaels said Kimberly Holden called the police on September 13th, a day before her disappearance, to report her husband, Ronald Michaels. Kimberly said he did things to her. He slept with her in bed and stuff like that. Then she disappeared. Kim was near her alarmingly. She was feeling very nervous because of him, and the way she behaves changes. Police arrested Ronald Michaels on September, and this is the day before Kimberly's disappearance. He was charged with sexually assaulting the child. This is a serious charge with a very heavy penalty. The main suspect at that stage will have a great motivation to kill Kimberly so that she does not testify against him in court or in retaliation for his complaint against him as well. We suddenly wanted to ask. This question starts with a lot of murder cases with a mystery of the same level, but the mystery of this crime is more complicated than the body of Kimberly Holt. His 16-6-year-old daughter was found in the Atlantic Ocean, not in her bed. This case got a lot of attention because it is actually strange. We discovered that her adoptive father was accused before Kimberly's disappearance of sexual assault on her. Obviously, he would be one of the most important suspects at that stage. Ronald Michaels was found and brought in for questioning. He told the usual story as he denied it and said it was not true. This is all because Laura's wife, who I will soon divorce, is conspiring against me to follow the literature. He claimed that her adoptive mother persuaded Kimberly to make these untrue allegations. He said that he spent my day with his real daughter. She assured us that he was with her during this period of time that Kimberly disappeared. He has an alibi on the night of the crime. That means he didn't have a chance to commit the crime. Part of the murder investigation is moving from confidence to lack of trust from a suspect to the absence of any suspect retreats and advances throughout the operation. This is the nature of our work. In many cases, relatives testify to the excuse of absence and trust the testimony of relatives because they care about the suspect, and it is also possible that he lies for him. That's why we continued to suspect that he might be the killer. We did not have any conclusive evidence that this man was involved in the crime. So we have to continue working. We cannot focus on anything. One and lose sight of the rest, and so on. If we follow up our work, what about the press report? This is what we have so far. At the end of every day, we were developing a plan of action for the next day. The police are looking for any as the information provided to the media increases. The chance of obtaining Porter's evidence increases. At this point, Detective Porter receives a phone call from a woman who identifies herself as his uncle Kimberly Holden and that she has information that benefits the police. She disclosed some concerns related to a former close friend who said in front of each other, "People, he's going to kill Kimberly if you think about breaking up with him." That's a direct threat. Matt White said he'd hurt Kimberly if I broke up with him. And I broke up with him. We had to check all the possibilities. We went looking for him and talking to, you understand what we're saying, right, Matt? They found this ex-boyfriend. He works at a restaurant downtown Dover. He threatened to kill the girl. And now she's dead. But I didn't mean what I said. I confess what he said. And the reason was his anger and sadness at that time. Matt told us. Where were you on the morning of September the September? Yes. He told us he was getting his Delaware learner license. Luckily for him, he had a stamped and dated document proving that he was there at that time. Nothing came up after this excuse of absence. And he's not part of the crime, even if he appears to be the criminal. But he's not a criminal. Rejoicing then depression. After some time, Detective Brown received a call from the criminal detective stating that they had important information they got from the chains that were wrapping the body. The chains were in a very good condition despite their presence in the water. Salty to work on. We cleaned it a little. We took close-up pictures and saw a sign on it. The factory was found and contacted the factory. The factory said that it sold this batch of chains to the Louise equipment store. We looked into it, and kilometers away in the area where Kimberly lives, we found a construction equipment store. This is the receipt I found. There is a receipt for the purchase of chains on which the length of the chain and the number of clamps wrapped on the ankle of Kimberly itself are recorded. In addition to 2 cement figs, one of them bought all. This piece of equipment was on the afternoon of the same day that Miss Halton went missing. We immediately started checking surveillance recordings. Wait. The tape matches the date and time of the sale. You can see the chain wrapped and placed on the sales table, and the clips are placed on the sales table in addition to 2 fig cement bricks. This is it. We felt so excited because we saw 2 young men buying the chain we were looking for. Because of the fractures in Kimberly's skull, we know it was lifted and thrown from a high place. Maybe it was a bridge or a boat. It's easy for 2 people to do this work. That makes sense. Now we have to find out the identity of these 2 people. The body of Kimberly Holden, a year-old girl, was found to be floating the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday. Police are looking for any information that would identify these 2 men. The police have published pictures of these 2 people on television and in newspapers asking for help from the public. Do you know these 2 men? The surveillance tape wasn't very clear, but she says to the public, if you see something and feel it's familiar to you, call us. A few hours later, a call came in and the detectives came in saying the voice of the young man on the phone that he is one of these 2 men. This is an evolution that makes you excited. Come visit us, son. You're the new participant in this investigation. I'm Detective Wayne Porter with the Delaware State Police. And you're Detective Steve Brown with the New Jersey Police. And you're Robert Brothers. He was very scared and wanted to clear his name from the investigation. He was eager to talk to anyone to explain his presence in this hardware store with his alleged friend. And he bought something that ended up with him. The end up on the body of a dead girl. Identify the other person accompanying him. He said it was Jacob Jones. How long have you known Jacob? About 6 months. and he started to explain it. He said that Jacob called him and told him, "I'm going to the hardware store. I saw something about how to make an exercise machine using 2 cement bricks and a metal chain." Jacob said this series is 6 for lifting weights. Don't you think there's something wrong with this story? No, I didn't feel at the time that this was something strange or anything. We investigators looked at each other and said that didn't seem to be true at all. I've never heard of people making exercise machines out of chains and bricks. I only know what he told me. He said, "We never had any conversation indicating that this equipment would be used for criminal activity or anything like that." He says Jacob left with bricks, chains, and clips. He never saw him again. That's his story. He said, "I don't know where he is, but you can ask his girlfriend. I don't really know her, but he and Heather have loved me since high school." Investigators were immediately surprised by Heather's name because they heard it before. Heather is Kimberly's adopted sister, and we now have a direct connection between Kimberly and Jacob Jones. I don't believe in coincidence. Seeing Jacob Jones by the chain and his girlfriend is Kimberly's sister, that's too much for us now to discover the motive. Was Heather involved and asked Jacob to do this, or did Jacob do this without her knowledge? Is this a love triangle? We've got to this state. The main suspect promises his victim's brother. This is a fatal mix. We certainly found the body of Kimberly Holt's son, who was floating in the Atlantic Ocean, and all its sweets are tied to a metal chain. We traced the chain and got to Jupiter, and it turned out that he was the close friend of this brother, Kimberly Holt. We have to interview her so we can try to relate these things together. Kimberly was welcome at home. Then at some point in their relationship, something started to get bad. Jealousy started to appear clear between them. Kim took my stuff. My clothes were with her, and I lied about it. We fought about it. What are you doing? I'm looking for my jacket. She's not here. Are you kidding me? Calm down a little. It's just a jacket. When I saw Kim wearing my clothes, I felt angry. I'm not her mother, and it wasn't care. It has one of his responsibilities that she needs help, and my mother never knew how to help her, and no one else knew that," said her sister. This house has turned into a place fraught with feud in recent months. The adoptive parents have separated, and Ronald Michael is accused of sexually assaulting Kimberly Hilton. Everything that was stability disappeared abruptly. I don't think she was emotionally mature enough to deal with something like that. I think she was drifting with the wind. Let me take your memories back to the September. What are they? The connection of the tape from the loose store and these pictures to the murder of Kibrick. I don't know, she said. What we want to know is, what do you know about Jacob being there that day? Of course not. There's no doubt about that. We're pretty sure it's Jacob, and she's reluctant to assure us that he's him. I'll tell you this. We have a footage, we have evidence, and we have witness testimony who explained to Leather that this isn't a game. It's an investigation. Tell us what you know, because we'll find out eventually. If I thought he could do something like that, I'd tell you, she said, but I don't think so. Then she suddenly started switching to defending him. Jacob was very smart. He was always outstanding in school and did everything to get into college. Jacob was a sophomore at Delaware State University, a space science student, and he seems to be a very organized person. For his life, when he got a job as a flight instructor at the airport, he was giving lessons and could reach a number of planes in Delaware. And that's interesting. When we found out that Jacob was a flight instructor, we said it was possible that Kimberly was thrown out of an airplane. We thought, is this possible? Could this be what happened? The doctor said that the fractures in her skull were caused by a fall from a raised place to the water. What better way to do this than on the plane? At that point, we knew Jacob Jones was our man. My idea was that Heather didn't really know what happened, but we didn't get a confession from her, and we couldn't follow up on the interview. We now have to get a statement from Jacob. That what happened in our interview with him. Jacob, are you going to talk to us? Why did you arrest me? You're not detained. You're being held. We can do this in Delaware. You're not accused at first. You didn't show up. A lot of emotions. He seemed to not care. I'll show you a picture. Is that you? It seems so. Well, he admitted that the person who bought the chain and followed up with the same story that he was going to use it as an exercise. How did you intend to practice using the chain and cement bricks? Would you please tell us? Well, the chain and the cement brick were the weight. I didn't get the result I wanted after that. Do you know where the 2 bricks are now? No, sir, Jacob. The more he presses it, the more nervous he gets. I really don't have any idea how the chain gets to eyeliner. I feel shocked when you say it's the same chain. We're trying to help you, Jacob, but we want you to cooperate with us. Deal. I want to cooperate, but I want some kind of consultant to be present so that I feel comfortable talking. Do you ask to call a lawyer? I want to have a counselor with me. Hassan, if we're going to postpone the interview date, the time is asking for his right to call a lawyer. Your conversation with the suspect ends up at a distant date at this stage. Good luck, sir.
I'm afraid.
Just calm down. At that point, we didn't have enough evidence to convict Jacob of the crime, so we have to continue working on building the case. The investigators went to Dover Airport where there is an aviation club. How's it going? Jacob Jones works as a flight instructor there. They asked about him. Jacob Jones? He's a good guy I like, but he had some problems. The supervisor reported that Cub had been distracted lately and was late for his appointments. He was probably not there. The facts indicated that he had problems controlling his anger and suffered from problems with discipline. We learned that Jacob had different qualities than what Heather said to us, and we started to see her. Do you have a record of his flights? He read his flight history and discovered these records that on the evening of September, he flew one of the planes from the club at 1 hour and 1 minute at night and returned at 1 hour 1 in the morning on the same night as he was flying in complete darkness with his plane. The flight path shows that the plane took off from Delaware and shows its exact path into any place I got over the ocean and how she turned back to Delaware. And that's what we saw. Our theory is that he went to Dover Airport after he killed Kimberly. He put her body in the plane and threw the body over the bay. After getting this information, they started preparing to arrest Jacob Jones for murder in the first degree. They have enough evidence. We got an arrest warrant. And when the Delaware police went on the way to arrest Jacob Jones for his crime, they received a call. At that time, we were shocked when this happened. Sometimes not. Things are going as usual. The warrant has been signed and a force from the Delaware and New Jersey police are on their way to arrest Jacob Jones for the murder of Kimberly Hilton. The house is not locked and it doesn't matter. They got into the house. Oh my God. What really happened here? Jacob committed suicide and killed himself. I remember very well receiving a call from the police unit. And the first thing I said at that time was how strange he used a rifle to urge a delegate. This means that Mr. Jones was determined not to survive and chose the right weapon to do so. We stumbled on Detective Porter's card on the table, the TV was on, and they thought he was watching the news. He found his year-old son, Kyberly Holland. I think Jacob started to feel walls shrinking around him. His father was at home. It was a cowardly act. I think he chose the easiest escape route. We now have to deal with the father and mother who are shocked by what just happened. Tell me what he did. Jacob Jones confessed to his parents that he had committed this crime because they saw him on TV buying the chain from Louise's Bitten store. About the suicide message about the suicide bombing in Calm, Mr. Jones said that the murder of Kimberly Holt with the help and participation of his friend Michael Kaiser, and the parents had never heard of this name before. Jacob and Kaiser knew each other 6 years ago. They met at school. The theory was that Jones got help. It's no longer a theory. We knew the identity of an assistant. We located Michael and brought us for questioning. Today's date is Friday, the 4th of October. Listen to me. We did everything looking. Jake shot himself last night. Do you understand? He killed himself. And Jake told his father that you helped him kill this girl. Is that true? Still confessed to his existence at the time of killing Kyberly Holland. Michael Caseley said that Jacob James called him and asked Michael to go with him to the house of Kyberly Hilton to get her. Jacob Jones is fully aware of the dramatic events in Heather Wembley's life. Jones called her one night. He told her we have to talk and solve these problems between you and Heather. Kimberly probably wanted to do this too, so she went with him. I'm sure she didn't think they were going to kill her. Where did she go after leaving the trailer area to Wawa to drink something? If at what time did you go to Wawa? I don't know. I didn't check the clock. It was you and Kim and Jake? No. It was just me and Kim, and then we went to Badgett. She sat down, and she was talking and laughing. Everything on it's fine. I went to the bathroom, and Jake told me he wanted to kill her. He asked me to help kill her and dispose of the body. We'll do it as soon as she gets out. Well, did he told you why? All I know is that the situation at his girlfriend's house was bad because Heather couldn't do anything with Kim, who was always yelling at her and bringing young men home all the time. No one will miss her and know she's gone. Jacob Jones sees her as someone worth throwing. Everybody gets rid of her, and I will do the same thing, but I will get rid of her once and for all. I told him this was crazy. I didn't want to participate in it, and I wanted to leave. He told me he would kill me if I didn't help him. Michael, no one in that room believes this. Even Kaiser himself. We know he played a role in the crime, and will try to do anything to ease his role. She's back from the bathroom. Jake grabbed her. Michael Kaiser told us he held her feet while Jacob Jones brought a phone tape that he tied around her neck and strangled her. I stopped moving and kicking. I sat in my place checking her pulse, and it turned out that she was dead. He asked for my help to move my body to his car. Kaiser says that out of fear of being harmed, Jones helped move the girl to the trunk of his car. It seems to have been planned in advance. They bought things from the store and led her to Dover Air Force Base. Jacob rented a seasoned plane. He put the body in the plane. The plane took off and threw the body from the plane into the ocean when it was in front of it in ocean waters. We think the shock broke the two bricks, and that left the chain tied to it only. Jacob Jones thought the chain would be pulled to the bottom of the ocean and that it would stay there forever. But that didn't happen. I swear I didn't go to base and I didn't fly that plane as soon as I could. I left him. It's hard to believe that Michael Kaiser was even involved in this stage. And suddenly he decided that he didn't want to continue helping him and participating in the plan. At this point, he will charge Michael Kaiser of first-degree murder, whether he helped push the body off the plane or not. We offered him a guilty confession, but he refused and wanted to go to court. Kaiser's lawyer summoned only 2 witnesses to testify with him. In a sudden move, the defense did not ask for Kaiser's testimony because he refused to do so. Attorney General BBY Oni said he was shocked that Kaiser did not testify, but said that this would never affect the case. We have put a case that we believe is the strongest and the evidence is conclusive at the end of our conviction Delaware and sentenced to life in prison. We don't think Kaiser was the killer, but we think she knows more than she disclosed. I'm going to ask you a straight question, Heather. Did you know anything? Did you know he wanted to kill or harm you? Did you help him dispose of the body? No. Did he talk to you about anything after that? No. It's hard for me to believe that Heather didn't know anything about the crime. Maybe she didn't previously, but I knew after it happened. After Gecko shot himself, his father exploded in anger at me. He said that somehow I was involved. I told him that I didn't know anything and that I was shocked like everyone else. She said that everything happened without my knowledge and I don't know why he decided to do this. If you want to say something, I don't want to say anything. I didn't participate in this in any way. Oh no, that's too much for me. I think Kaiser thought that the family separation was because of Kimberly, the basis of all her problems in life. It seemed to revolve around Kimberly. She told her boyfriend Jacob about the problems that Kimberly was causing within the family. Jacob wanted to help Kaiser and put this plan, and at some point it was over, and waste her life and his life in terrible crime. Thanks for watching.